I apologize. So threats is a good one, and she did a lot of threats. What else? Yes?
I've seen it happen before where it kind of goes with the deceit and the threat, but people like faking an emergency, like playing to the savior complex, make him open the door because he thinks he has to do something to save her, and it was all just a ruse.
So I kid you not, and I touch this very, very delicately because it is a very delicate subject. But she did say, in terms of threats and that, if you don't open the door, I will kill myself. Do you want that on your hands? I will kill myself if you don't open the door. She didn't, just so you know. Yes?
She has a lot of like guilt trips.
Mm-hmm. Guilt trips?
You owe me type thing.
You did this, you're the reason that I'm screaming. Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Now think about it this way. What if I was an otter? How would I try to get him to open the door? For me, being an otter, right, I might say, if you don't open it, I'm going to tell all your friends. And that's a threat, but what I'm threatening is taking away your social connection, which, as an otter, that's the most important thing to me, or it's a very important thing to me. So that's what I'm going to go to for my threat, right? Yes?
As an otter, I notice I tend to go with creating more empathy, more connection,
Yep.
in order to, because people tend to respond when they feel liked and understood, and I usually think that.
So we might fall back on our social abilities, right, to say, hey, I'm going to, and we don't even think this, we just subconsciously begin to,
Just what's in the toolbox.
right, it's what's in the toolbox and it's what I pull out. So if you have a character that is a beaver, in the toolbox, they're analytical. And so they're going to start looking at the door. How do I credit card my way in to the door, right? How do I get this door to open while I keep him distracted, thinking that I'm out here freaking out? Yes?
I think a beaver might also try, like from the analytical point of saying, okay, well, I'm just going to logic, like
Yes.
the idea of guilting, I'm not going to necessarily guilt you, but I'm going to logic you. Okay, well, you've got your stuff at my place and I've got a whole bunch of stuff, so you better open it. If we're done, I need to get in there, I need to get my stuff and start doing all of this thing, because if it's over, it's over. Give me my stuff and get the door to open that
And
way.
get the door to open. Bingo.
Not
Right?
gonna be-
I'm going to logic this door open. What is it? I'm going to science this.
Yeah.
So let me move on just a little bit. We've got about 10 minutes. So how does this apply to your writing, right? Characters have motives, and they use tactics to achieve those motives. That's what we do. Like, that's what your character should do. So I asked earlier for a volunteer. Is there anybody who would be willing to discuss their scene? Yes, sir. Come on up. As you're coming up, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your scene.
There are three characters. One is really pretty much a witness, but my main character, a woman who's comes home, she's had problems with the boyfriend. They're both pranksters, complete pranksters all the time. She comes home, her boyfriend, they've had problems, he's been absent for a while. As soon as she comes home, there's another man there with him, cooking dinner for both of them and all. And he says, sorry, hon, I have to come out. I realize the reason it's a relationship is I'm gay. Now she's thinking, what is the prank here? I've got to find the prank. I'm not going to call uncle and say, and lose points of prestige by saying I don't find out what your problem, what flaws your prank, and he's pranking her by not making it so obvious that she will know it's not a prank. So they're both pranking each other back and forth.
Awesome. It's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah.
So what does the woman, it sounds like, the
She
woman
wants to find she's thinking that there's a flaw, that he's pranking her by not really coming out, but actually still being with her. And she wants to see the flaw in the prank that he's playing on her.
Right, so I'm going to get him to crack first,
Yes.
right? This flips I want him to say I love you first on its head and says, I want him to give in first.
Right, she wants him to give in first.
And I'm guessing he's the opposite.
Right, he wants her to call uncle so that she can call uncle. He says, no, hon, it really am coming out.
So I love this because here's what we'll do with it. This, is it meant to be a comedic scene?
Yeah, well,
okay.
it's comedic. It's a little poignant when she realizes, but, it's comedic for most of the scene.
For most of the scene, okay.
Yeah.
So is he really coming out to
Yes,
her?
he really is, yes.
Okay, so this could be, I agree with you, a very, very poignant moment
Yeah.
when they get to the end of the conversation.
And she calls uncle.
Yep, and she realizes,
Yeah.
right? And that gives you that last ditch effort that I was
Yes,
talking
exactly,
about before, where she's like, realization dawns,
Like, whoa.
I'm going to pay all my cards on the table,
Yeah.
and then when she realizes, no, it's not a prank, right? I love it, I love it. So, what tactics is the term that we would use? What tactics does she use to get him to reveal that it's a prank? How does she try to call his bluff?
Oh, right, before calling, yeah. Well, I've had her do things like, well, some of this she's doing like, I guess, a beaver thing, where pointing out, oh, well, this guy's way too serious for you. So it's like, oh, you did me for a straight man. Because for them, straight is somebody who's not a prankster, somebody who's serious, because this guy's kind of very serious, gravitas guy, so, that he's come home with. So that's one of the things she does. So leaving me for a straight man.
So analyzing the situation,
right,
logicking it out.
Right, right.
Okay, does she try anything else?
Well, it's like, you've responded to me like a man would to a woman, is that, it's like to her emotionally situation, she's pointing that out, that, you can do well with women, so why are you.
So questioning his manhood or...
Right, yeah.
Okay, and then how does he defend the prank?
Well, he's saying, you said that we should go up, we should fix this problem, I saw the problem, we saw the problem, and also he's saying, well, because I can respond to a woman that way doesn't mean that I still don't prefer men.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically he's some level by, so.
Okay, so the thing that I love about this
Mhm.
is it does really create a conflict in it. Does the reader know before they go into the scene that he is in fact with this other man at this point?
Not at the start of the scene, no.
Okay, so the reader realizes it along with...
As the scene is going on.
As the
they
scene
know
unfolds.
that there's got to be a prank going on because of the setup.
Gotcha.
One side or the other is pranking, or both. In this case, they're kind of both doing it.
So you talked about she used like an otter technique of trying to rationalize it out. I'm guessing if they're pranksters,
Mm-hmm.
then they might be leaning in the otter direction because they like to just kind of have fun.
Right, yes.
What is a fun way that she could try to call out to get him to confess?
I mean, just kiss him.
Yeah.
She could kiss him, yeah.
Go over
No,
and
well,
kiss.
she
Yeah.
could say to him,
Yeah.
well, if you guys are together, why don't you kiss him? Because,
Yeah.
Oh, what? Yeah. Let me call you out. Go make out with him if you like him so
show me how much
much.
you love each other, kind of.
Right, yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
What else? If it's just a fun, like I'm trying to have fun with this, he's probably playing a plank. So he's probably playing a prank, right? Is there something fun she could be doing? Call out, go kiss him if that's... What other fun things could she do? Yeah.
She kind of pretend that she's going along with it and say, well, I wonder who in the neighborhood I
Yeah.
invite over.
She could call up her old high school fling, be like, well, so-and-so's been hitting me up on Facebook. I've been waiting for an opportunity like this.
Yep. I got so many girls knocking down my door. You think if I wanted to go with one of them, I could, something like that? Sure. Yes.
She could come on to the other guy.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, which she would feel confident in. Again, going back to the toolbox, right? She probably feels like, I'm pretty good with other people. I could go up and kind of make my husband really uncomfortable, right?
Which would really come back to bite her if the
I
other
was
guy
about
was
to
also
say.
gay, and then it's like, whoa, I just misread both men, and that could come back to bite her.
Yeah. Well, or have the reverse effect and really turn her husband on. But then that might not be bad for her either. So, no, that's fantastic. Let me talk about one more thing with this, and then we'll wrap up here. So the thing I love about this, and I love that you said that they're two pranksters.
Yes, they're
right.
very, yeah.
Yeah, if you go back and watch like Charlie Chaplin, some of these early Buster Keaton, right? Their whole scenes, their comedy scenes, are centered around somebody wanting something and trying to get it, right? And so these two people that are pranksters, if this was pure comedy, right, we could get absurd with it. And I mean, even in here, we've talked about this sort of thing where she runs in and she kisses the other guy, or she does something that really turns out to be very embarrassing for her. But when you raise the stakes higher and higher and higher, right, and when, You know, when the guy's trying to get a spot out of the tablecloth and it doesn't get out, and now he's trying to serve everybody, there's still a spot there, and he's like, right? And in the end, he's like burning the table to get rid of the spot. Right? This is comedy to us when you take that struggle to a higher level. Thank you so much, Claire. So, you are the instrument. Don't ignore that. You are the, however you see this, you are the portal that channels your characters. You, whether or not they're coming, you know, like King says, if it's something that's buried and you're just discovering it, you are the mouthpiece for that discovery. If you feel like your characters are out there and they want to speak to the world, you are the conduit through which they are speaking it. When you understand what kind of conduit you are, what your propensities are, the things that you lean towards, that becomes very, very valuable. Do not ignore that you are the instrument and you are the most valuable piece to your writing. And so understanding yourself is critical. Go back to your personality. How would you react to a dilemma that your character is in? Right? If I came home and my wife, there was a woman in the kitchen and she said, "This is my new girlfriend, I'm sorry, it's over." I don't know, I'd have to think through that. That would be, and that's, personally, that's what I love about writing, it's what I love about acting. It is also one of the reasons I feel like what we do is, I don't know the right way to say this in this venue, but we take upon ourselves the pains of other people. And we take upon ourselves their suffering and their sorrows, and when we do that, right, we are able to tell the stories that people listen to and follow. We need to remember that. Remember the obstacles. What type of person is your character? How do they react to the exact same dilemma? And then have fun being a different kind of person for a little bit. Right? If I'm a very introverted, non-otter person, it might be fun to be like, but if I was that kind of person, what would I do? Final slide. Right? Great characters are real characters. So empathize and explore. Real people do. I told the story about the girl coming up the stairs and screaming at my roommate. That was very, very real. And we love, as voyeuristic people, to watch that sort of stuff unwind. But it has to be real. It has to have depth. Right? And so when I love this picture because I think Charlize Theron is just beautiful. Right? And when she was in Monster, she got an Academy Award for this role. She was a female serial killer, right? She stepped into that role and became a real person who was struggling with real problems. That's what we can put into our characters. And it doesn't need to be, this guy's the lion and he always breaks down the door and he just becomes one-dimensional. That's who he is. No, bring in these other pieces of, great, if he's going to surprise everybody, he ends up, rather than bashing down this door, he takes an analytical approach to doing it. And all of a sudden, people will see the depth in your character. Guys, thank you so much for coming to this place.